There are only two manufacturers of train engines in the United States. General Motors, at one point in time in its history, owned one of them because it thought, hey, we're good at making cars. We should be good at making train engines as well. Okay, and so that turned out not to be the case. And so that becomes then a strategic decision. Do we stay and try to learn how to do this better, or do we sell the company? Okay, that's a strategic decision. And activity-based costing information can help them with that decision. It's a strategic decision when Kodak, with the invention and increasing popularity of digital cameras, for the bulk of my childhood, what did Kodak make and sell? Film. No longer needed for the overwhelming majority of cameras. So Kodak, just to exist as a company, has had to reinvent itself and can use activity-based costing types of information to help them make those strategic decisions about what do we do now to make money. Okay? And this is what happens for most companies. For most companies, computers have become incredibly powerful. It used to be something as big as a refrigerator wasn't nearly as powerful as what I can now hold in my hand. And so what happens is for most companies, activity-based costing is not part of their general ledger system. What they do is they just take They take the entire contents of their general ledger system, download it to a PC, run it through a relational database, and calculate costs. And that's what they do to calculate costs for activity-based costing. It's not very many. Like Coca-Cola happens. I do believe Coca-Cola actually incorporates activity-based costing into their general ledger system. But there's not that many companies around the world that do. So typically what happens is the general ledger, the big set of numbers in the sky where all the financial information is stored, is run through a lens, usually located on a PC, and then it provides information for those two types of decision makers. For strategic decision makers, should we be in this business at all? And for Mr. Operations, how can we do this more cheaply, more faster, more better, given that we are in this business? Okay? And so in real life, or as you get more sophisticated, this is what we learned. The circle on the left is what you have to do in problems and on tests. But what's on the right is actually what is becoming more like what the real life calculations are, because there are some activities that are used by other activities. And some activities that are used, other activities that are used by multiple products, some that are just used by a few. It gets really complicated when you've got activities being used by activities being used by activities before they wind up at a final cost object. And so computers can do that. Software is needed, and that's actually really what the conceptual kind of thoughts behind activity-based costing happened before the technology was available to allow people to do it. I think at Hewlett-Packard is one of the places where that occurred. But it wasn't until computers, personal computers became powerful enough and software packages became powerful enough that it could actually do that work. So again, it can be resources being consumed by departments, being consumed by processes, finally being consumed by a final cost object. And you need a computer program that allows you to do that. So finally, yet another graphic of that, how activities can be used by activities by other activities, and some of those are shared and some of those are not. And then it can become very sophisticated, very complicated, but that is going to provide you the most accurate costs for your stuff. So Nick, tell me something you've learned today.
I like the profitability profile.
You like the profitability profile. Nathan?
Activity-based management.
Activity-based management is, what about activity-based management?
It's taking information from activity-based costing.
make decisions and stuff. Very good. Tony, did you learn anything today? Okay, difference between ABC and ABM. And so there are, I do believe, 3 questions from today on the test. But I asked him a yes or no question. I was kinder to him than I was to the other 2. I do believe there's 3 questions, one to make sure you were awake and trying to pay attention as I was talking, 1 or 2, and then at least 1 from those 2 slides that I had you write down. And it's all multiple choice, right? So it's not like you're going to have to totally memorize and be able to regurgitate, but there are multiple choice questions on those. Okay? We will see you on Thursday, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, with cases in hand, I hope.